from Mars, Women Are from Venus video series was filmed around the country at various seminars. In this series, John Gray teaches you in his humorous and insightful way the differences between men and women. The first video is an overview on the main differences to help you understand the opposite sex better.
If we're going to have good relationships, particularly between men and women, we have to realize that it won't be good all the time. That's a wonderful awareness just in itself, is to expect from time to time it's going to break down. We're just speaking different languages, and that creates a big part of the problem. In my book, Men Are from Mars, Women Are from Venus, I talk about these differences with a little story. Imagine that thousands of years ago, or millions of years ago, there were the Martians and there were the Venusians. And the Martian culture was very much the way adolescent boys are. They like to blow up things, they like to race their cars, they like gadgets and gizmos and technical types of things. They're all into science, they're very goal-oriented. Now Venus, that's very Venusian, that's feminine, the feminine qualities from Venus. All Venusians have a master's degree in psychology. They study people. See, Martians study things and objects out here. Give me a carburetor fix and I'm happy for a while, okay? Or put me on my laptop computer. I just got the new techno-gadget laptop, and my plane was delayed for an hour and a half, but I was happily using my extra battery, running it down. That made my Martian side very happy, doing something. That's men, and we can identify a lot of the qualities that make men and women look different as Martian and Venusian. Venusians are all into gardening, organic food, you know, feeding, food, nurturing. These are all Venusian qualities. So they lived happily on Venus, and the Martians lived happily on Mars. And one day the Martians happened to be fooling with one of their gadgets, telescope, noticed the Venusians. Instantly, a new part of their body arose. They said, get a load of this. They're lineups, okay? Suddenly they were mass-producing telescopes everywhere, and the Martians were watching the Venusians. We said, wow, I want that, I want that. Oh, that's good. And what's really wonderful about it is these Martians had led their lives mostly very self-centered. But what happens at a certain point in every man's life where he starts to mature is suddenly he starts to fall in love, which is a very special turning point for a man, which is what happened to the Martians. Is he saw the Venusians and suddenly he started to feel warmth in his heart as well. Down here was like the guidance system. That's where we want to go. And the warmth in the heart said, it was a new experience for Martians. I care as much about them as I care about me. And this is a wonderful thing that happens to a man when he falls in love. So quickly they invented space travel. They built spaceships. Ever notice how phallic a spaceship looks? Looks like that, with thrust that takes off, and the spaceship took off. All the Martians went to Venus. They had great relationships. The Venusians said, oh, more people to study. This is great. We'll have more communication. And the Martians spoke another language, and the Venusians went, great, we love language. We love to talk. More words to say, as a matter of fact. And they were just like us. The difference is a little bit more exaggerated, but their relationships worked. It didn't matter that they were so different. What made it work is that they knew that they were different. Whenever there were problems, they would consult a translator. That's what we call a therapist today. That's all we do as therapists, is we translate. What he said is this, what she said is this is what he really wants, is what she really wants. You want to give that? Sure, I just didn't know it. So the Martians and Venusians had this way of communicating using the dictionary, the phrase dictionary, had the translators, and so they didn't, whenever they got mad at the other person or they felt offended or how dare you or rejected, they would first go, maybe I misunderstood them. And then they would check it out and realize that it wasn't as bad as they thought it was. So here's a few examples of Martian-Venusian behavior that maybe many of you will relate to today in your relationship with the opposite sex. One of the most common things we Martians do, I'll refer to myself as a Martian here, is after a day of work, solving problems all day long, which is what makes us feel best. When a Martian feels bad, it's because he didn't solve some problems. He didn't know what to do to solve them, or just didn't get it done. Whenever you see a Martian smiling, it means he just did something. Okay, yep, I did it. You know, you ask a guy to do something, what does he say? No problem. I can handle it. Trust me, I'm the one. Okay, that makes the guy feel good, but sometimes you get all these problems, you don't solve them all, you come home, you're feeling all stressed out. So what do you do if you're from Mars? You go to your cave. Every Martian has a cave, and the cave is a place you go to recuperate from the day. It's like a de-stressing chamber. It's like a decompression chamber. It's a place where he can forget about the problems of the day. Now, this is very important for men. The way men release stress is to forget about problems. Now, you put this guy in a relationship with a woman today, and she says to him, "What's wrong?" What does he say? Nothing. She goes, "You're in denial. You need to talk about your problems. Because talk about my problems, that just makes me feel worse. I'm trying to forget my problems." And that's the way men feel better, is through forgetting their problems. Now, if we put this in a different context, everybody can understand it quite easily. We all work very hard. After a while, what do we want to do? Take a vacation. Why do we want to take a vacation? To forget our problems. If you can take a vacation from work, then you can completely forget work. Then you come back rejuvenated. You come back more creative. You come back loving your work, wanting to be a part of it. Your energy is back, having gone away. Well, see, Martians had spent millions of years developing that talent of vacation. We go to work, and when we come home, we're on vacation. Women say, "Well, we got to talk. We got to talk." He says, "Talk? I've been talking all day. I've been solving problems all day. I need some time off." So he goes to his cave. And see, women don't understand this, because on Venus, which is where their DNA comes from, on Venus, they have a whole different ritual. They come home from their day at work, and the way they de-stress is to come home to the people they love and form circles, hold hands, form eye contact, and most important, talk. That's right, talk. Talk therapy. It's the greatest therapy in the world for your Venusian side, or for the Venusian in us. You talk about this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and then you feel better afterwards. Now, this is probably the most important thing to remember, men, and it makes complete sense if you understand Venusians. If you don't understand Venusians, it doesn't make sense at all, because it's a different form of logic. So this is the point to remember about women. In order to forget the problems of the day, which is what we go to our cave to do, we watch TV to do, we fix our carburetors, we have our hobbies, we go play tennis, we watch football, whatever we do, we focus on that to forget our problems. We're great at vacation. What do Venusians do to forget their problems? What do women do to forget their problems? Talk. They remember what's bothering them to forget it. Right? Doesn't make sense from one perspective, but from another, once I understand women, it makes complete sense. They remember it, and then they forget it. They sort of have to go through this little list. Okay, this happened, this happened, this happened, this happened. Share it with somebody, then they can let go of it. It's almost as though they don't have to carry the weight around with them all on their own, if they can just sort of share it with somebody. You see, when a man loves someone, he wants that person to be happy, particularly a woman. With my wife, my greatest goal in life is to make my wife happy. And that's true of any man that loves the woman in his life. When he falls in love with a woman, his goal, my goal, is to make her happy. And that's why things go well in the beginning, because he thinks he can make you happy. And also from her side, she thinks he can make her happy. Then she finds out he's not as good as I thought. And he finds out she's not as happy as she was. And there's big problems that result. But most of the time, men just misinterpret the Venusian. They just misinterpret the woman. She's really capable of being very happy. The truth is, she's happy she has someone to talk about all her problems with. But he misinterprets. He thinks if she has all these problems, she must be very unhappy. And if he's a great guy, he should be able to solve all those problems. So when she starts to talk and share, which makes her feel better, he starts solving problems. Well, you shouldn't do that. Well, don't worry about this. Well, I'll handle this. And after he solved 3 problems in his mind, and keep in mind that she doesn't even want these problems solved. She just wants to talk about them, just wants to get close. Oh, this happened, traffic was awful, my boss said this and this and this, or this employee said this, I couldn't stand it. She doesn't want you to give solutions. She just wants you to commiserate. Oh, that's awful. That's terrible. Oh. And say nothing. Imagine if I owned my business and somebody came with a complaint and I just sat there and looked and went, that's terrible. No way. You got to solve the problem. You got to get this great answer and explain to them why you're so competent. But see, in an intimate relationship, particularly what a woman needs a man for is to be able to come home and share and open up and let all these feelings come out about her day. And the amazing thing, if you let them do it, they feel better. If guys sat around talking about problems without giving solutions, we'd all walk away feeling very inadequate. Like we don't have our lives under control. We can't handle anything. Whereas women, all these relationships. Look, I can share with this person, I can share with this person. The secret is for us men to understand with women is they need to talk maybe 10 times more, okay? Now, I don't even know if that figure's true, but men need to have numbers, okay, to hold it in their mind, okay? 10 times more, all right? So basically what that means is when she's talking, bite your tongue 10 times before you say anything. Now, it's true. You don't really have to do much. See, men are doing much more than they have to do. And once men understand this, they rejoice. Because most of the time, men resist stuff about relationships because most of the books are written by women. And they tell men how they have to make all these changes and become more like a woman. No man's going to do that. It would be counterproductive for him to do that. There are ways to get what you want without changing it, but a woman can't know that. Only a man could figure this out once he figured out women, which is what I'm sharing for men, is having figured out women. Now, women come to me all the time, and they say, if only the world had more men like you, John. I say, I'm just like all of them. Oh, no, you're not like them. I say, well, there is one exception. I understand women. And the reason I understand women is because for 20 years, I've been paid to understand women. Men do whatever gives them reward. Most men are not out there earning a living through understanding women. So the secret here, women, is you have to know how to motivate a man to understand you better. That's the whole thing. Women don't understand this one simple thing is that men, we have a philosophy on Mars, never do anything you don't have to do. That's called efficiency. When you get married, she calls it lazy. As a boss in my company, I want everybody to do those things which are most important, not those things which are least important. However, if you get in a relationship, all the rules change. What a woman wants from a man is for you to do the least important things. Not go out and make money, although you have to do that too. You could be the executive, the CEO of this big multi-billion-dollar company. But if you want a happy marriage, you have to come home and become the maintenance man. Suddenly you're emptying the trash, mowing the yard, building the fires. These are all very, very important things for women. Otherwise, they don't feel loved. And men don't understand that. And how do you get this guy to do those things? Which is the big question women have. How do you get him to do these things? Simple formula. You don't have to change a man. Anytime you ever do anything to change a man, it's not going to work. Even if we wanted to change, we won't change because you're trying to change us. But to put this bluntly, what you have to do is pay him. Now, what do you pay him with? I've told my wife if she wants me to do something, just tell me I'll give you $100 to do it. And she laughs at that and doesn't do it, but actually that would work. Even if it's my money, it would work. But what works even better is to let him know that when he empties the trash, that there will be a payment. And that payment is thanks. Oh, it's so good to have you around. I'm so glad to see you. The trash man has arrived. Okay. My husband, who can climb up on ladders and screw in light bulbs, who fearlessly carries a knife to chop the carrots for my salad. What a great guy. And the guy who'll listen to me when I get home. He's so wonderful. He says nothing. I can talk as much as I want, she says, because my husband just stands there and says nothing. He's much better than another Venusian to live with, because on Venus the rule is, if one Venusian talks for 5 minutes, the other Venusian talks for 5 minutes. That's the loving thing to do on Venus. You see, that person feels, oh, I'm really loved and supported. I'm so grateful to have my support group of other women. They're so wonderful. They ask me questions when I don't want to talk. Now, that's a loving thing on Venus, but go to Mars, we hate it. We can't stand it. It's the most irritating, annoying, bugging thing a woman can do. We come home, we want to be in our cave. Cave time, leave me alone, don't bother me. So I'm coming home, I'm just doing something. My wife will come over and say, how was your day? I give her a real clear signal. Fine, okay, all right, same as usual. What am I telling her? Don't want to talk about it? Don't need to talk about it. I'm forgetting it right now. But she thinks I'm like the woman in the support group. I need to be drawn out. So then she starts getting specific, which is what women want us to do for them. Well, how did that meeting go with so-and-so? And I'm thinking, why is she asking me about the meeting with so-and-so? Does she think I forgot to bring my notebook, or I was late, or is there something she's going to tell me I should have done? Is she mothering me? That's what we start to feel. She's trying to control my life, which makes us want to go deeper into the cave. One woman said she was a cave buster. She said her husband digs tunnels now in the cave. He's got a light down there, he's digging tunnels. Now, the sad thing about this cave phenomena is that some couples have been married 20, 30, 40 years. And the whole marriage, the woman has been trying to get him in that cave. And all it takes for her one day, this is why it's had such a dramatic effect, this information. One day somebody telling her, he's not going to get upset with you if you don't go in there. He'll actually like you to leave him alone. She goes, I couldn't leave him alone. He wouldn't feel loved. I go, no, just the opposite. Go shopping, spend his money. Come home and thank him for what you did that day. He'll go, I didn't do anything and she loves me. That will bring him out of the cave. See, many women have thanked me. They said, I always felt it was my job, like Nurse Mary has to stay there when a person's sick. I mean, when somebody's sick, you wouldn't want to just go out and have a good time. You want to go commiserate with them and suffer with them and have a bad mood. Okay? But the truth is, what men want when we're in our cave, ignore us. And if we're in a bad mood in the cave, act like everything's fine. Act like everything's fine. You see, what makes a man stay in the cave longer is more problems. If you're thinking there's a problem, then we have to solve that problem before we can come out of the cave, or we have to forget that problem. But we can't forget it because you keep looking at us like, okay, talk. What is it? We need to forget the problems. And what's interesting, remember how women remember the problems in order to forget them? If men can forget the problems at work, then they can remember what's most important to them, which is you. They can remember what their life is really about. They can remember their deeper feelings. When a man goes to his cave, then he comes out. If he has the time to be there, then he's much more approachable. He's much more genuine and loving. But unfortunately, when a woman pursues a man into the cave, he never gets a chance to come out. It's a feeling a man has to have that nobody's trying to get him to come out, then he comes out. But as soon as you try to get him, he stays. He now heads the other direction. And women just don't know this. It's just backing off, giving him that space. Now here, there's so many ways this unfolds. In some relationships, he goes to the cave, 20 minutes, he's out. And what happens? As soon as he comes out, she goes, now you see what it's like. And she leaves him. This happened in the beginning of my marriage. I'd be doing my kind of cave time. My wife would go, he's ignoring me. He doesn't love me. He didn't treat me this way when we were dating. Suddenly he's changed, become just like my father. And I'm not upset with her or anything. Then she starts to panic. She goes, well, maybe he's not talking to me because he's mad at me. Maybe I did something wrong. What did I do wrong? I didn't do anything wrong. I did this and this and this. I'm doing more than him in this relationship. Now the resentment starts building up. All this is happening while I'm just in there reading my magazine or watching the news. It's like a hurricane is building up over here. So then I come out, and I walk up and say, well, hi, honey, how's your day? Like, I just noticed she was there. And that's what a man will do, 20 minutes, an hour, something. He doesn't know notice you're there, and then suddenly he sees you. See, women don't understand this because when you're in the home, they see you. They see everything in the home, if you've noticed that. They have radar vision. They really see much more than men. Their eyes are different, and their brain is different, and their brain functions differently. When they see a room, blood flows to the whole brain. When a man sees a room, blood just flows to one part of the brain. It's true. Women use the whole brain at the same time. Men use parts of the brain. One study revealed that when a man talks, blood flows to this part of the brain over here. So that's why we know that has to do with the communication center for men. But for women, when women talk, guess what happens? Blood flows everywhere in the brain. No wonder women want to talk so much. They got the whole brain to talk with. I read in the paper somewhere, it was talking about a study, women need to talk, or women talk 6,000 words a day. Men talk 2,000 words a day. So they both come home. He spent his 2,000 words. She's got 4,000 left. That goes back to that thing, 10 times more. You just have to bite your tongue. When she's talking, just don't say anything. You don't have to do anything. It's a new, advanced relationship skill, and it really doesn't require more once we learn to do it. We see, men don't know what to do. We haven't been taught to do this. Now, if we looked at our fathers never had to have conversation with our mothers, and our grandfathers certainly didn't have to have conversations with the mothers. Times have changed. It used to be that women didn't expect to have conversation with your husband. It was enough that he came home alive from work. Now, women want conversation. They want to talk. They want to share. The secret to this is the most important essential ingredient that women need. And this is what we do, is we distill out what's most important. What women need most is to be heard. That's their voice. Women in the last 40 years are finding a voice inside of them. It's coming out, and it's a beautiful thing if it has a chance to come out. It's not a beautiful thing if it doesn't have a chance to come out. It creates tremendous arguments and fights and dissatisfaction on both sides unless she has a good listener. And that's what's required of men. We don't have to open up, become sensitive and vulnerable, and share our feelings and all that stuff that we've been told for the last 25 years. And I'll tell you what happens for many men when they did learn to do that. The wife left them. She said, I just really need a manly man to be with. I run into all these men who are like pissed off, you know, that women want to be their friends, but they don't want to have sex with them. They want a manly kind of guy who doesn't talk. And of course, that has its own illusion. When a guy doesn't talk, a woman goes, he must be really deep. She has no idea that when we don't talk, our minds are blank. Blank mind. See, nobody ever told women what it is you do to make a man happy. Women read all these books on relationships and they say, yep, I'm doing it. Yep, I'm doing it. Yep, I'm doing it. What does it say to do? You see your partner's upset? Go and stroke them. Ask them, would you like to talk about it? Share about it. Draw them out with inviting questions. Okay? Women go, I'm doing that. I'm doing that. See, I'm doing everything on the list. Write them little notes. Be romantic. Oh, she's doing everything she wants, but he doesn't care about any of that stuff. He's going, leave me alone. Give me some space. Back off. Okay? So there's a lot that we ask of you that you don't even know. I remember one time my wife said to me, I was really upset one time with her. And I think I should explain why I was upset with her. This is a unique quirk about Martians. We could call it neurotic, or we could say it's a quirk. Men take credit for your happiness whenever you're happy. Okay? When a man loves you and you're happy, he goes, I did that. He takes credit for everything. So let's say I take my wife to a movie. After we see the movie, I say to her, honey, did you like the movie? She goes, oh, that was a wonderful movie. I go, yes, I wrote that movie. I directed it. Did you like the photography? I filmed it. Okay, you like the script? Yep, I wrote that too. Men on an emotional level take credit for your happiness. Now, intellectually, I know I didn't write the movie, but on a feeling level, I did. When I take you to a restaurant, if I pick that restaurant, yes, you like my restaurant? You like the food? If you're enjoying the food, the whole time I'm going, all right, I made her happy. See, this is a secret single women don't know. You're on a date with a guy, you don't have to tell him how wonderful he is. Tell him how great the food was at the restaurant. He goes, yes, I brought you to this restaurant. Yep, I took you to that movie. And the message he gets from you is that this is a woman that he can please, and then he's attracted to you. He's drawn to you. That's what hooks a man in, is a woman he can make happy. But lots of women don't understand that. And at this time in my relationship, my wife didn't understand it. We went to see the movie Dirty Dancing. If you remember that movie, Great movie, fantastic movie. And that's how we used to dance in Houston when we were growing up. He actually grew up in Houston. He was at my age group, and we all went to St. Luke's Church together and did dirty dancing. And occasionally, he's so dirty, they put you in jail. Okay, they had this glass room, which was the jail for dirty dancers when it got out of hand. So that was a big merit badge to go to jail. You know, I was a dirty dancer. Okay, so I saw that movie and loved it. I mean, completely brought back my childhood, all these positive memories of dirty dancing. Well, anyway, so we saw the movie. My wife had never seen dancing like this. She grew up in L.A., and somehow she was this innocent little girl who never danced that way. So she was kind of shocked at the movie, but I didn't realize that at the movie. I said, "Did you like this movie? Wasn't it great?" She goes, "Well, I didn't really relate to that movie at all." Well, suddenly I was completely up. What, you didn't like my movie? I directed it, I produced it, I starred in it. Those were some of my moves in there. You know, I was like, I'm like really getting into the whole thing. So I was just immediately hurt on an emotional level. Now I didn't say I'm hurt now. I just did what Martians do. Clammed up. Was completely silent. For the whole drive home from the movie theater, which is a 15-minute drive, didn't say a word after that one comment she made. At a certain point, she says, "Is there anything wrong?" Now, usually a guy would say no. But I'm developing my communication skills a little bit, so I said, "Sure, something's wrong." And she says, "What?" I said, "Don't you know?" And she very wisely said to me, "How can I know? You haven't said anything." I went, "Well, when I don't talk, you should know something's wrong, okay?" But the truth is, when a guy doesn't talk, it could be you did something wrong. It could have nothing to do with you. It could be something happened at work. Women never know. When a guy goes into not talking, women panic. They go, "Oh, no, he doesn't love me anymore." That's because if a woman stops talking, she's definitely either not trusting you or she's mad at you. So that's why women panic so much when a guy stops talking. But anyway, the basic theory there, and the thing about men, is that if a guy takes you to a movie and you don't like the movie, when he says, "Did you like the movie?" search, scan inside of you for one part of you that did. Don't lie. I'm not asking you to lie. I'm saying, listen to what he's really asking for. When he says, "Did you like the movie?" what he's saying is, I'm feeling really kind of insecure right now because I sense that you didn't like the movie. And I'm feeling awful about it. So if there's anything good about the movie you liked, tell me, and then we'll drop the subject and move on to something else, okay? That's what he's really saying. But he'll casually go, "Well, did you like the movie?" And she says, and I remember the first time she did it, she really heard what I meant. She scanned the whole movie. It took a while, so I knew this was really a bad movie. She said, "You know that sunset scene? That was really beautiful photography." I went, "Yep, that was really good. Where should we go to eat?" You know, immediately change the subject right away. Done, handle, we'll forget that movie ever existed, okay? But see, women don't know that. They go, "Oh, we need to have a conversation about this movie," okay? If he says, "Did you like the movie?" she feels like he probably knows I didn't like the movie, so I'm going to explain in great detail why I didn't like the movie so he'll understand. And it just doesn't work. And what's the parallel that on the other side of it? It's like if a guy does something wrong, disappoints you, like I was going to bring the milk or I'm late or whatever, I say, "Okay, I'm sorry, I'm late." She's upset, so what do we think we're supposed to do now? Give you all these explanations why we were late, thinking that's going to make you feel better. Does it make you feel better? No. The more you explain why what you did wasn't so bad, the more she feels, "Oh, so you're saying I don't have a right to be upset about this?" The secret with apologies, I'll just slip into that one for a moment, is you never say you're sorry right away. Because after you say you're sorry, there's nothing else to say. It's like that's your big gun, all right? So you like wait to the end for that. So you say, "Oh, I'm late." She goes, "Yes, you're late." And you just stand there. And you know you got that "I'm sorry" at the end. But you got nothing else. So you just stand there and look at her. And she's going to go, "Is that all you have to say?" "Well, why don't you tell me how you feel?" And she goes, "Well, let's talk a little bit about it. Why are you so upset?" Or tell me why you're upset. Not why are you so upset, because that was kind of like demeaning thing. Why are you upset? It's not a big deal. But you go, "Well, let's talk about it. Tell me what you're feeling." That's so weird for a man to say, "Tell me what you're feeling." It's like on Mars, you don't do that. You keep your feelings hidden and inside. So it's kind of hard to say that. So if you can't say it, it's okay, just stand there. She'll get upset that you're not even talking. But let her be upset. She's upset. Let her be upset for a while. She gets upset. "You don't do this, you don't do this. I thought you were going to come." Then you do a little reflective listening. This is the whole secret. You don't say you're sorry yet. It's going to be worthless if you do. If she's upset, you say you're sorry. She goes, well, you don't really mean it. Okay? And there's no way you can ever create the tone of voice that means it until she has talked. Okay? So you just don't say, I'm sorry. You get her to talk, whether it be to stand there or say, well, let's talk about what happened. What did you think was going to happen? Well, what do you mean, what do you think? I said this and you said that. And she talks. While she's talking, I call it just dodge. Don't argue. Just let it pass. Let it pass. Let it pass. It's looking like you're really this awful guy. It's looking like you'll never be forgiven. It's looking like she's going to be in this bad mood forever. But you remember, it's going to change. It will all lift. If she can sit there and talk for a while, then she starts thinking, he's not such a bad guy. After all, he listens to me. Maybe this isn't going to be a permanent reality in our relationship. He is letting some of this sink in, but it takes a while. You don't try to apologize right away, because the message you're kind of giving, and some guys are right out blatant about this, say, okay, I'm sorry, what else can I say? Isn't that enough? Okay, I'm wrong, I'm bad, okay, can we get off it now? No way. You know, if you kept her waiting 2 hours, we're talking 2-hour payment. Just sit down and go, this is 2 hours, okay? So you're going to talk about this, be upset. You go out and buy her flowers. You do things. But once she's finished talking, you do say, even though you don't expect to have any effect, you say, I just want you to know I'm really sorry, after she's talked a lot. Now, you have to say that because otherwise, later she'll come back and say, you didn't even say you're sorry, okay? So you do say I'm sorry, but the truth is, you try through that whole period, just try to take in why she's upset, what happened that bothered her, how it feels. That's all you have to do is try. It's not going to be fixed right away, but it's being fixed as fast as it can be fixed. She needs time to be upset. When somebody's upset, they need time for you to know they're upset and bothered about this. And you practice dodging, thinking it's not a permanent reality. That's why men argue and get into these fights, is we think she's going to stay that way forever unless I explain to her she's making a big deal out of this. See, the more you try to explain to her it's not a big deal, the more she's going to prove to you it is a big deal. So the secret is let it be a big deal and know that it's a big deal now, and after a few hours it will be let go of. And certainly you want to listen to her and try to avoid doing it in the future, and I find that that's how I learn, is listening, not by explaining, because as soon as you start to explain your point of view, you start defending it. So listen to her and eventually say you're sorry. It takes a while for him to experience that doing these things will make a difference. The same thing for women. For a million years, you never had to ask men to listen. You never had to ask men to do things for you. You never had these romantic requirements. So we can look at men have to make changes, women have to make changes, but it takes time to do these things. But you are guaranteed, women, you can get more and more and more from a man if you approach him in the right way. And men, if you just start doing little increments of more, you'll see a woman be happier and happier. The biggest mistake men make is they think they have to go way overboard, make all these sacrifices to make a woman happy. The secret is making the right sacrifices. Little things make a big difference. Not big things, little things. And you just do it in increments. You don't have to give up who you are. You don't have to make major changes. You don't have to open up and share your feelings and all that stuff, or whatever it is that's a big change for you. As long as you learn to listen. See, one thing is to try to change 1,000,000 years of evolution and try to get a guy to talk. I mean, think of it. What was the man's role for 1,000,000 years? He quietly went out hunting. If you talked, you scared the animals away. Our brains are not set up to talk about everything. And he wanted to be included in the hunting party. To be included in the hunting party, you go, oh, I got a boo-boo. Or, gee, I'm kind of scared today. You're going to get left behind. You got to be tough. You got to be strong. You got to push your feelings to the side and move ahead. Warriors, you get war with somebody. You don't hesitate. If you're afraid, you hesitate. When a man is afraid, he stops doing something. So we had to learn, if we're going to be warriors, to not hesitate. You got to be fearless. You disconnect from the emotions temporarily. So our brains have evolved differently. Women, you have 40% more connective tissue from the left side of the brain to the right side of the brain. You can't turn off your emotions. We men can't. All we have to do is go on the left side of our brain and we disconnect from our emotions. That's why the oldest technique in the world for creating spiritual peace has been to listen to your breathing. Just listen to your breathing, okay? That takes focus of the left brain, focus on your breathing. You have to go to the left brain and you disconnect from your right brain. Or the thing we all learn in elementary school, if you're upset, count to 10 before you say or do anything. The act of counting forces you to go to the left side of your brain, which disconnects you from all the upset feelings. This works primarily for men. Women can go over to the left side of their brain, and not only are they still connected to the right side of the brain, but for some miraculous reason, you also have a set of emotions on the left side of your brain. Women have emotions on both sides of the brain. There's no escape for you. That's why you've learned another way to deal with them, through talking and sorting them out. Whereas men can just escape from them. We can just go over the left side of the brain, think about it, feelings go off to the side. Women go, you're in denial. No, I'm just on the left side of my brain. Okay, that's all. Okay, so there is change, and the change needs to be on both sides. And what's been unfair is that women haven't realized the changes they need to make. And I have to say, women are actually the most, in my experience of teaching to groups, women are the most resistant to making changes. Men are much more willing to make changes. Now, I'm sure this doesn't fit your model right away, because if you look at relationship books in the store, 95% of them are bought by women, not men. So you think, well, women are working on this stuff all the time. Women are working on being women, giving men what women want, not what men want. Okay? When you start showing women what they need to do, which is different from what all the women's books say, they go, whoa, wait a second. Now, the reason they have that reaction is not that they're really resistant to change, because women are very open to change. It's just they have tried everything they can do their whole lives to make their relationships better. And somebody comes along and says, that was all a waste of energy. There's a sense of feeling around that. Okay, there's a lot of resistance that comes up. You start to feel like, you mean it was my fault? It never's your fault. It's nobody's fault. The fault lies in ignorance. We just don't know how to support each other. But you can see me on some of those national talk shows. It's blows my mind how much the women will resist. They can go ballistic. I mean, did the Les Brown show recently, all-women audience. At one point, he sat down. I stood up. I said, this is wild women here. These are like wild animals. And they were just like enraged as I was giving them the points of what do men need. That's why in my talks, if you notice, I talk about what men need and then I talk about what women need. So you got to balance this thing. Growth happens when both sides get what they want. And if I start telling women you have to do this for men, you have better relationships, they're going to balk unless you say also, hey, and this is what you're not getting. Because you can't. See, this thing about women. Women cannot be what I'm asking them to be to a man unless he does these things. Okay? Because what I'm asking women to be is genuinely appreciative. It's very hard to be appreciative of a partner who doesn't do anything. Okay? So what a woman has to learn in her steps is how to ask for him to do things in such a way that he does things, and then this love can grow. Truly, if you're going to be happy in a relationship, you are dependent upon your partner's participation. But your partner doesn't have to be at this talk, nor they have to read my book for them to participate more in the relationship. If you start understanding the male psyche and start learning how to move him in the direction you want. Here's a fun example of it. Here we are on a trip in Sweden, and I'm doing my Martian thing. I'm on the hunt. We're going to get to as many cathedrals as possible in one day. So there we got the map. I'm going from here, time, we got to do that. And I'm not thinking food. My wife is thinking food around 12 o'clock. Now, we've had an experience with this where I've learned Venusian chemistry is different. When Venusians get a blood sugar drop, suddenly, they really expand. Emotions go way out. So my wife said to me, honey, I'm getting hungry. I immediately stood at attention. How hungry? Is this 5 minutes or is this 20 minutes? How much time do we have before we need to eat? Okay? That's called respecting her feelings right away. We're going to do something. She said, oh, you know, we got 10 minutes. There's plenty of time here. I said, okay, we're going to be there in 10 minutes, no problem. And I looked around, and there were restaurants all over the place. I hadn't noticed them until that moment. Now, secretly what had happened is my wife had been hungry for half an hour. She'd been walking along as we're looking at cathedrals, checking out what restaurants she wanted to go to. Finally, as we're standing close by the restaurant she wants to go to, she says, I'm hungry. I go, oh, okay. How much time? 10 minutes? All right. I start looking for restaurants. I say, oh, there's one over there. She gives me a subtle clue. Yeah, that looks kind of nice. I go, oh, there's one right here. Maybe that's a good one. She goes, yeah, maybe that's a good one. And she knows 3 strikeouts and a guy gets really frustrated. Like, make up your mind, nothing makes her happy. So she gave me a real big hint on the next one. Then she goes, yeah, that's kind of nice. And then she goes, but look at that one over there. That's very, very nice. And I said, yes, that really looks good. I like that restaurant. I think that will be really good. Let's go to that one. Oh, great, she says. Let's go there. Yes, I brought my wife to this restaurant. Right? I still remember it as she's eating the food. She's, oh, this is so great. This salad's got peas in it, so nicely arranged. I went, yes, I brought her to Sweden. I picked that restaurant. We'll always remember this restaurant, won't we? Yes, oh, so wonderful. And this is her arranging it so I could feel loved. See, it's a matter of arranging things so he gets the kind of love he needs, whereas I arrange things to get the kind of love she needs. For example, as soon as she said hunger, I stood at attention and said, yes, your wish is my command. We will find that restaurant. That's called respecting her feelings, her wants, and her needs. And that's sort of the teamwork we have in the relationship. I respect her feelings, wants, and needs. She appreciates and acknowledges whenever I do the right thing. Okay? And helps me to be successful in doing the right thing. And when we have that approach, it sort of narrows down our roles on how to support each other. It makes it actually simpler once you get a handle on it, and both people end up growing in love. It's been a real pleasure to be with you here tonight, and thank you again very much for a wonderful evening. Thank you.